Okay, so 1 minute is left. We are going to have lots of fun and a successful meeting. So I request everyone to please turn on your cameras and show your beautiful faces and make the meeting more live, just like we are going on live. Vandita, could you please mute yourself? Shaman.
Hello, everyone. I welcome you to the 79th session of the Leaders and Readers Book Club. Today, I will be the host for today. My name is Shaman, and a little introduction about me. Though I'm a little nervous and doing it for the first time, but yes, I'll start with my introduction, definitely. So about myself, I'm a design student turned writer, and I really love reading books. And books is something which is my little temptations, I would say. Um, and I love to read books which are non-fiction to science fiction to biographies. These are some of the these are some of the tempting things which I can't do without. And my go-to writers, if I can say, are Jhumpa Lahiri any day. I think so. Even on a sad day, I will pick like a Jhumpa Lahiri, and it's like a glide to me. And it's never hard to understand her or read through her. The second one would be Arundhati Roy, a lot of insights. Third go-to writer would be Ian McKellen. So yeah, the list basically goes on. And I think so. Past, before the pandemic, there's this really interesting thing which I thought I would try to do it. It was like my target that I'll at least try and finish within a year like a 20 to 25 books, but it actually never happened. And it's quite surprising that of course the pandemic gave us so much time. My traveling time was cut, uh, and you don't have to worry about certain things to be in a physical space. So weirdly, I never thought that I will reach that target, but 2020 and 2021 I'm about to, if I would say, I almost reached 21 books. So it almost feels like an achievement, and almost I feel elated to share this with all of you, that I was able to do that. And yeah, I think so this community also gives me a little more enlightenment to reach to 25. So yeah, let's hope for the best in 2021 I reach that goal. So with much further ado, I would like to talk about today's topic, uh, from fired to hired. So I think so. It's a very sensitive topic to a lot of us, and I don't know if how many of you have gotten fired. But talking about myself, I have gotten fired. Um, it's not a very pleasant experience, but at least to the point that this topic that Vandita has taken. If you are fired, at least you were hired. You had that skill set in you, and uh, to enter that space. And of course, I mean, things are sometimes things never go in your direction, never go in the straight line direction. So that's ups and downs, and which is the part of getting fired. But you should never doubt yourself and say that I got fired, and uh, I'm the most terrible person and I don't know anything. I'm so dumb that I'm never going to reach anything. Things didn't work out between you or the organization, and we should take it as a learning, as a lesson, that what actually was a miss from my end, and let's work on it and let's move ahead with it. So I think so. It's a really interesting topic, and it's close to my heart, and I'm sure Vandita's too. Um, so let's, before I call on, our keynote speaker and book reviewers, I'd like to take you through the agenda of the meeting today. So we will start off with a book review session, following with the keynote session, a little bit of Q&A, and of course the most exciting part, which is the audience participation. So before I start the meeting, let's call on stage uh, our big book reviewer, Subhashri, and this is the first session, and uh, by far my favorite session. Let's give a little introduction about Subhashri. Subhashri Patra is a budding public health professional who switched after 5 years in the corporate to development sector and still building ground. She currently works as a young professional with government health organization problem. Someone who juggles between listening to the mind, to the heart, but eventually believes it. She follows her heart um, and takes the brain with you. When she's not working or dreaming per se, she loves writing her blog, painting ceramics, of late experimenting with cooking and exploring the local markets and places around. With much further ado, let's call on stage Subhashri. Over to you, Subhashri.
Thank you so much, Shaman. Good evening, everyone. And what a pleasant evening today. And I would all like to see all your pleasant faces as well. Vishak, Gauri, Anirudh, Santhya. Come on, let's have more faces to this lovely Tuesday. And moving forward, I would like to ask quickly in like less than a minute, if anyone can like raise their hands or put up on the chat that why do you read? Why do you think do you read a book? I mean, there can be many answers and a lot of different people read for different reasons. So why do you think, do you feel you read?
It's very
Anyone?
clear. Readers are leaders.
Okay, that's Toastmasters, and that's definitely one of them. And yeah, that's absolutely like Santhya says to gain knowledge. Yes, it's a hobby, absolutely, and to knowledge, escape the reality, absolutely again, and to travel the world with words. Those are some lovely words, Mandakini. Yeah, to know others' perspectives. Yes, I think even I read to be able to get drifted to another world and to know things that I may not be able to live, but will live in somebody else's, through somebody else's words. So with that, today I would like to review the book called Here, There, Everywhere by Sudha Murthy. Now, I am sure a lot of people must have heard, can some people raise their hands who have heard about this book earlier or have read it? Okay, okay. So just to start, so Sudha Murthy wears many hats. She's a philanthropist, an entrepreneur, a computer scientist, an engineer, a teacher, and also the chairperson of Infosys Foundation. And lastly, the wife of Narayan Murthy, founder of Infosys. And she's also the mother-in-law to a British politician, a budding British politician, Rishi Sunak. So above all her different identities, she has her own identity, and she's a great storyteller. She also was the first female engineer hired at India's largest auto manufacturer, Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company. She's also the winner of R.K. Narayan Award for Literature, the Padma Shri. Her repertoire includes adult non-fiction and fiction, children's books, travelogues, and technical books. So about this book, this is basically a compilation of a lot of short stories that she has written in various books and some new ones as well. So when I read my first Sudha Murthy, the book which was known as Wise and Otherwise, when my father had bought it, and incidentally, it was also one of the first books she wrote in English. So just to note, before Sudha started writing in English, she used to write a lot in Kannada. So she has a lot of books in that language as well. Since then, this book has only been my second read, but her simple style of writing, conveying a deeper emotion, feel-good stories from across her life experiences and stories of every genre has all these years always kept her book alive in me to just simply pick up from where I left. So the book opens up to a heartwarming personal story about her bond with her brother, even though they are distance apart and personalities too. Yet, he can be her true confidant. She also talks about how, as a young girl, writing was not her first passion, but it was her mother who encouraged her to write every day, regardless if her articles got published or not, which she wanted. And when she grows up, she can read them 10 years later and see how she has improved. So these initial stories set the tone for the book, which establishes that the author's penchant for storytelling from her own experiences. So basically, these are all stories which she has experienced or interacted with people across different times in her life and has left a lasting impression about her. What impresses me is how she has been able to nurture every memory from all these years and woven them into a beautiful story out of each. What some of my favorite stories are the granary rice, where she talks about how her grandma says that it is always important that we give something to some, whenever we give something, we should always give the best and not the second best. There is also another story called Life's Unwritten, where she talks about how a girl, her father rescued a girl who was abandoned by her husband, and she just delivered a baby, and she meets the person after several years, where the girl's daughter has become like a great professional in some another state. So these are some of the stories that she has, and one of the stories which really stood out for me was Rahman's Abba, where she talks about how a Hindu family brought up a Muslim boy, and how it talks strikingly says that we can't choose the community or religion that we are born into. So we should never think that our community is our identity. And this was something great. And although her readings are these are some great things, although her readings are extremely lucid, pleasant, I also feel that her, as her title of the book could have also been something more catchy, because although it covers everything, it could have been something more catchy like many of her other storybooks have been. Now, the author is really good at expressing herself through short stories. So probably moving forward, maybe she's so great at it, maybe she can also take up a social cause and, write stories around that and, a complete novel. So overall, I truly admire the personality, be it the way she expresses through herself simply through her talks. And I will also look forward to reading more of her stories. And I would like to also end it by actually quoting something which I read, that as an excerpt: class does not mean possession of a huge amount of money. I continued, unable to stop myself from giving them a piece of my mind. There are plenty of wrong ways to earn money in this world. You may be rich enough to buy comfort and luxuries, but the same money doesn't define class or give you the ability to purchase it. Mother Teresa was a classy woman. So is Manjul Bhargava, a great mathematician of Indian origin. The concept that you automatically gain class by acquiring money is outdated. I will leave everyone with these excerpts. Thank you very much. Over to you, Shaman.
Thank you. Thank you, Subhashri. That was a really interesting and wonderful point of view on that book. And I think so you've changed my mind. I might just, pick up this book next. And I'll also have some point of views, and let's sit together and discuss it.
Thank you. Sure.
Yes. So yes, let's get into the second session of the meeting, which is the most awaited. This is also one of the topics that I really would like to know a perspective from Vandita. So let's talk about today's keynote speaker, Vandita Shukla. Vandita Shukla is a software engineer, a professional content writer, and a programming enthusiast. She joined Toastmasters in March 2018, and since then has been winning in various domains. She had been a three times triple crown winner, two times division winner, and a gold awardee. Lately, she served as a Division H PRM and a member of district admin team in 2020 and 2021, and the member of district PR team in 2019 and 2020. She's a former president of PSIT Kanpur Toastmasters Club, VP head of Kanpur and Toastmasters Club, and PSTI Kanpur Toastmasters Club. During her tenure as president, her Medley Award once and Rising Star. To date, she has sponsored and mentored many clubs and guides phenomenal mentees across District 41. When asked about her journey, she says, "My favorite time in Toastmasters is during speech contest when I see newbies competing with veterans and equal vigor and ardor. I believe if given optimum guidance, soon we'll see world champions of public speaking in District 41. And apart from all this, she loves to sing and cook and has a habit of hosting guests. Nation level debate champions come today's anchor area director, Vandita Shukla, is a happy going person who loves to experiment and revolutionize rational. That's a lot of achievement in such a short span. And I won't take much time. Let's get to the keynote speaker of today. Over to you, Vandita Shukla.
Thank you, Sharman. First of all, let's have a clap for Sharman and Subhashini. And let me tell you, both of you look endearing. Okay. Coming back to the topic, from fired to hired. Let's reverse this and go back to from hired to fired. And if I will say hire to fire, and if you Google it, you will see names of the companies like Amazon, Infosys, Publicis Sapient, and so on and so forth. So when such big names are being criticized, are being accused for hire to fire, don't think that you are overreacting or your anger is unjustified. Let me take you back 10 years back approximately. I was a little child who was in the school, and my basic expenses were to buy 10 rupees of kurkure or buy 5 rupees of that hot spicy namkeen that used to be sold out of the school. And every day I used to search for my mother's purse where I can get 10 rupees or 5 rupees. Suddenly one night, my father comes up in all red, white, so many colors on his face. My mother was so confused. She asked him, "What happened?" He said, "I just left the job." At that point of time, I didn't take it seriously. Until and unless I stopped finding 10 rupees or 5 rupees. I couldn't find any of the money in my home now. I could see my father sitting at my home for a good 3 months. Okay, fine. I have seen my father sitting at home before also when he was having a lot of surgeries. But this time it was very amusing because my father wouldn't even come out of the house. He used to sleep in the bed and he used to check his phone. He used to talk to a few people in some hush, hush, hush noise. And my mother just used to tell us, "Don't make the noise of the television too loud. Don't speak so loudly. Be disciplined. Learn few things in life," and so on and so forth. Coming back now, when I analyze his face, I will tell you what happened exactly. It wasn't so that he was working badly. My father is a very honest man. He cannot even take one pen from the office back home. He's such kind of a person. And if you are a person and who goes into a level, you start talking to him in some higher tone, or you use some slangs or so, he'll get offended. He's not used to all this. And the same thing was being done to him by his project manager. He couldn't tolerate that. It became a rift, and he just said, let me go. It was not just let me go that troubled him. At that point, 10 years back, 5 lakh rupees, which was his salary that time, he just said, I don't need that. And all the expenses or all the PF, EPF, everything, whatever was there in the company, he didn't take it. With utmost self-respect, he said, I don't need a single penny from your organization if you don't know how to respect people. My father has not been good at finances. Let me tell you honestly. And if I will tell you what his profession is, he's an accounts manager. He is ICWA. His whole profession revolves around maintaining finances. But he himself is not good at finances. Take it from the daughter. When I was growing up, I had this strong notion in my head, I will never ever say no to the money. Even if I am leaving the organization, I will tell my manager to get my expenses done then and there. And let me tell you what happened few days back. I was working somewhere and the lady just called me up. He said, you're such a fool, Vandita. Who do you think you are? This is not your IIT where you are such a famous personality. You're nothing in the real world. Don't be so overconfident. India is not a cute of man force. There are millions of people here to replace you. What do you think? I'm coming back after your work? Every day, this nuisance I used to hear. Even though the work was being done in time, the work was of good quality. The only thing was that my timelines used to vary. For example, if I have said I have to deliver by 12, I might have delivered by 12:30, and within this 30 minutes of span, she used to get all furious, all her insecurities would come out. Good, I was listening, everything fine. Because I had heard people who used to say, little bit of compromise is okay, Vandita. You need to be bit humble, bit soft. It is your boss. Listen to him. Listen to her. All of this I used to hear, and I used to be like, okay, fine, she's paying me. She is, bearing my expenses. So let's just be humble, listen. Until that day when she went to my college, when she went to my parents, when she went to my recognition and my self-worth. And I said, no. I just said, you can take the money that I have. I will not come back running after the money. You just take it and just leave. Let me go. I didn't answer phone calls, any of the messages, because it had costed my self-respect and it had costed my mental peace. Fine. After receiving the call, I was the one who again started to think, what I used to plan, I will ask for the money once I leave the organization. What was the lesson I was taking from my parents? Where have my morals and my ethics gone? What am I doing? How am I going to manage my finances? And suddenly a question mark came to my belief. Am I overreacting? This was not the first time. Past 2 to 3 months, I got fired 4 times. Sometimes people used to say, Vandita, there is some communication gap. Sometimes people used to say the work is not being delivered in time. Sometimes people used to have this, that. And if I go back and see the results that my work was given, oh my God, their website was ranking on the top 3 of the Google searches. And I used to think, what is this going wrong? If I'm giving such a good work, if these people are maintaining good relations with me now also, why is the reason I'm being fired? And what to do after I get fired? I saw many people around me who got fired in their late 40s, in their late 50s. And at that time, it is very difficult to come up and restart. It is very difficult to start from the block number 1. But then I just got the image of my father who used to sleep in the bedroom, who used to never come out of the house. And when people were discussing what topics do you want to have Vandita Shukla, when Vandita Shukla was being fired from an organization, I said, let's talk about this only. After I went from this meeting, Abu Shadab called me and he said, Vandita, I know there is a lot of things going on and you can come up, overcome and everything, so on and so forth. So many encouraging speeches were being put on my head. It is not that easy. Point number 8. You feel that how will your expenses will be managed? Point number 8. Even if you have invested so on a lot of money, you have recurring deposits, you have fixed deposit, you have so much of money, still, how will your finances get managed? Point number 8. Point number 2, how are you going to face the people who fire you or you were working with them? Or how are you going to tell this truth of being fired to your friends or your family? Point number B. It's very tough. Point number C, from where are you going to start? The next job portals, going to ask your friends, updating your LinkedIn. From where are you getting the next thing? Very common question. Point number 4, will this happen again? The first 3 things, you can find solutions. But what about the 4th point? Will this happen again? I have 3 companies offer in my hands. I'm a campus place student, but I had good job opportunities that I was working with. And point number 4 has eaten all my head. Will this happen again? These 3-4 opportunities will also go because they have their own deadlines to reply to. All of this will go. I will be left all unemployed. What will I do next? Will this happen with me again? Again, I'll be accused of not meeting up the deadlines. Again, I will be accused of not being communicative enough. How will I cope up with this? I saw a lot of YouTube videos on what to do. They said, get your interview dress done, update your resume, ask your friends and family for referrals, go on to LinkedIn, do something that you like, you have been waiting for, saving the time, all of this. Everything they were saying, point number 1, 2, 3, all were getting answered. But what about point number 4? Nobody was talking about it. Point number 4. I will tell you what is point number 4. This can happen again. This will happen again. Even if you change, even if you don't change. If there are companies whose policies are hire to fire, for example, the Amazon, who hire at larger chunks and on the contract basis or on the training basis, and then they, say, sorry, we cannot move forward with your applications, our seats are full. They will not even say that you have communication gap or your work ethics are poor or so and so forth. They'll just say our applications are full. What are you going to do next? Nothing of that sort. First, you are in the wrong organizations, hire to fire. Point number 2. You need to analyze one important point. Are you capable enough to find the next job, even if this happen again? Now, this is a very tough question. At this present moment in 2021, if you have done, let's say, CA, if you have done, let's say, MBA from good institute, even if you are an IIT or so, for example, me, there is no security that your skills are apt enough. I have my fellow IITian friend. He was working in Qualcomm, placed in 3rd year itself. And you know what he was listening to? You don't know anything except coding, and this doesn't work in organization. People had told him coding is the only skill that you need to have a job. The manager said, you know coding, you are good for nothing. Skills are never enough. So you need to find some skills that are going to support you even if your full-time job doesn't work. And when I say this, either invest in some other companies, either have your start a business of your own, idea. For example, there are people who are working in full-time jobs, earning in crores, but are still doing freelancing on Upwork and Fiverr. And what they're doing? Animations, graphic designing, content writing, and these are live examples. For an instance, if I take the example of Bill Gates, he was very good in calligraphy. Okay, the Apple founder, he was very good in music. And they were there in their full-time jobs. Still, they used to do this because they were very unsure if their full-time job is going to work. And I find the example of Steve Jobs the best. He had his own company. He got fired from his own company. He got hired again in his own company. You need to find if your skills are apt enough because it is going to happen again. And point number 3 that you need to analyze is that your self-motivation has to be very, very, very strong. 3 times very I have used. Your project manager will leave no stone unturned to criticize you, to tell you how bad experience it was to work with you. Your family will also say you were good for nothing, that you got fired from the company, and it happens. And I will tell you, my mother was one of them to say that to my father. Your friends will shame you, saying that their CTC is of so much, so on and so forth, and they will forget how insensitive they are while they're talking to you when you're fired. So your self-motivation needs to be strong. And there is one determined truth that I truly believe in, that everything happens for good. God has his own way to do things. Next time you get fired, you need to believe that your skills are apt enough. If your skills are not apt enough, start from something small. Your expenses need to be limited to your skincare, to your food, and to some subscriptions on your laptop. That's it. If you are too much tempting towards the vacations also, stop that. It's not going to help you in the future run. And I'm telling you, I'm just 22. I have learned all these lessons from the life I've seen around. Be self-motivated enough that even if I tell you that from software engineering, you have to go to graphic designing, this level, this small level, you should be strong enough to start from that. Some people take it from their ego. I was earning 20 LPA. Now I need to start from a 5 LPA job. How is it going to settle? No, I'm not worth it. No, you are worth it. At this point, this 5 LPA is what you need. Be self-motivated enough to start from there. My father did it. I learned this from him. And the second most important thing is, don't be hesitant to ask for help. Don't be hesitant to go back again to your project manager who fired you and just ask him, sir, what is the feedback? Take it from 1 year, send it from that. But don't show him that you are egoistic, that you have taken it to the ego. My mother was teaching this to my father, to actually go and text your project manager who fired you then, just to maintain good relations. This is the apex of networking that no organization will teach you. Question your soft skill trainer. How to deal with a project manager who just fired you? Can we network with them again? They will say, no, don't need to return back to toxic people. So life doesn't happen like that. It is a round circle. You can find that project manager again in a different organization. Life is a big round circle. You need to be strong enough to network to that apex level where you can talk to a person whom you don't like. Absolutely no care, compassion. Changing lifestyle, upgrading your skills are secondary. The first and the foremost thing that you need, that everybody needs to understand from being fired to fired or hired to fired, you had skills enough, you got hired. There were reasons you got fired. Doesn't mean that your self-worth is zero. Doesn't mean that life is not going to go forward. Just that you need to be strong enough, strong enough, strong enough. And in this world, if you're strong enough, everything is going to fall in place. So from hired to fired, or from fired to hired, it's the world that works like that. Amazon works on the policy of hire to fire. Some other organizations also work on the policy of hire to fire. So it doesn't mean that you have less skills, you're not capable enough, you are. The only thing that is going to work with you is you were hired when you were fired and you're strong enough to get hired again. If I can get 4 jobs in the past 3 months, you guys can start again at any point. If my father was capable enough to start in his late 40s when he got fired and he had said no to so much amount of money, you can as well. If my mother was courageous enough that after leaving her job for good 15 years and start searching for the jobs again, you are capable enough. I will not talk about big celebrities, I will talk about my family. My family was courageous enough to step up. And if these people who are in their late 40s can step up, we guys in normally can. Not many people have the courage to talk about this, but I want you to face your fired situation. I want you to face your not being good enough situation. I want you to face your situation in which your boss says, oh, there were so many issues working with you. It was not a good experience. So it was a good experience for me to work on. That's it from my side. Over to you, ma'am host, Chandni.
Thank you, Vandita. Thank you for such an insightful session and such encouraging word. I'm sure you've inspired so many people, and including me. It's a very sensitive topic, and as you said exactly, I mean, not many people are comfortable sharing about such personal things. And you clearly mentioned, and you mentioned about your family. It's very encouraging to me, and yeah, I think so. A lot of learning from here, and a lot of people got such important pointers like how to bounce back and how not to be depressing. Really interesting session. Thank you, Vandita. So we will step into the next session, which is the most exciting session, and I'm sure a lot of people would be waiting for this session, which is the audience participation session. In the audience participation session, uh, each participant gets like 2 minutes to speak on the topic, and all of you can nominate yourself, and at the end of the 2 minutes, the red card will be shown to you. So I urge all of you to please nominate yourself. I have really interesting topics for you all to speak. Oh, and before that, if any of you have any questions from Vandita, you can put it in the chat box. We can take 2-3 questions.
Somit has raised hand.
Yes, Amit, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Vandita. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wow, this is such a wonderful and very motivational session. So my question is like, even I got fired from a place, from a college. Again, I'm getting calls from the professor and the faculty that asking me to rejoin. But I don't want to join the institution. But with the respect to the faculty, or with respect to the professor, with respect to college, what is a better way to say no? And the reason why I quit job and I don't want to join the institution once again, because I just want to move on with my career, like something which I'm looking forward, something which I'm actually running behind my passion to work in a government sector on a different level. So don't want to go to that. So what is a better way or good way to say no to them, and also express myself that I'm into this direction? So could you tell me like how, like what is a better way not hurt them, and also to let them understand that I am on to a different level.
Great, Soumit. First and the foremost question I would like to ask, are you firm with not joining? Do you have reasons to not join?
Yes.
Fine. First, it is important to convince ourselves whether it is yes or no. Convince yourself. Now that you are convinced with yourself that it is a strict no, and you just have to convince the other person, and you actually don't have to convince them, you just have to give them a pleasant answer. So the pleasant answer goes like this. Hello, sir, madam. Thank you for approaching me. It is so nice to hear from you that even after our association got ended, you are generous enough to extend me a second chance. Considering my present situation, I think it would be better that I look for some better opportunities where I can excel. And whatever you wish to do, like whatever your passion is. For example, I say if I have to open my business, so I would just say at present I am thinking to open that, and I would require a definite amount of time and effort. And this is the reason why I wouldn't be able to accommodate this job opportunity given by you. I hope you understand. Your wishes are crucial for me to do better in my life. Looking forward to a better collaboration with you in future. That's it.
Thank you, Vandita.
That's it. Because just remember one thing, that you have to be gracious enough that they have extended you an offer. Second, you need to seek blessings from the people. After, you just tell them that you have some future endeavors that you're working for. Because that actually gives a positive image about you. Even if you're struggling or so, you have to be like a river. The river flows, it keeps on flowing, but it doesn't evade the land. You will find a lot of fertile land on the banks of it. The delta that we talk about in the geography. You have to be like a river. You have to harness fertility to the surroundings that you're passing with. So even if you're struggling, you are a very swift river. Don't just destroy the things that are around you. So just stay generous enough, because as I said, life is a big circle. You might need them in the future. So just say, we will look forward to better opportunities or better collaboration in the future. That's it. Always mention this line. It works. Okay, we can go with the Sudeep. Sudeep, yes, your question, please.
Hi, Vandita. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Sorry, Vandita, actually, we are running out of time.
Okay, we can take his question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to just ask you one simple question. I mean, once you are fired from an organization, what is the feeling, or what is the power, or what is the mindset that forces you to move ahead rather to come back to that organization?
I recently discovered few things about this perspective. First is to actually have a feedback from your project manager, to actually see if he is critical, or there is some truth in what he says. Second thing is, you can ask him to revise his decision. This is also something that you can hope for. Like, for example, give him certain explanation and tell him that you definitely would like to work here. So could you, sir, please think about it, so on and so forth. Just give him time to revise. If he is not revising or so, the first thing you need to do is to actually decide if you want to go in the same direction or you want to change your career paths. Right. Point number one. Now that you have done, the easiest thing that you can do is look in your own network. For example, what I do is I go back in my network, and the people or the friends that I have, I ask them to apply my referral. And there are some very hesitant people who are like, I see if there are job opportunities in my organization. Say them, I just need the email of your HR. I'll draft him the mail, give your reference. That's all. I'll do everything. You don't need to worry. You just give me the email ID of the HR of your organization. So the important thing is the fastest opportunity that you will get is from the network that you have. And there would be people who are reluctant to help you. So just take the HR mail from them. And you have to do it on your own. Okay, this is the first and the foremost thing. Some people also do it in a way, like, for example, if you are too gutsy, you have too much of courage, they post it on their LinkedIn like a flash. For example, I'm looking for the opportunities. These things actually work. When I was starting my content writing thing and I was getting very less payment, what I used to do was I used to flash that on my Instagram. And I will tell you, I used to get a lot of messages from the people around. Or otherwise, what I used to do is I used to start posting the memes about my own organization so that people used to get to know, Acha, she does this, that is why she's posting something related to that. I used to ask the friends of or my family about the HR mails of the organization, and I used to forward those things. Because honestly, LinkedIn is slow. Your job portals are a bit slow, but your referrals are a bit fast. So if you are looking for the opportunities, you have to erase everything in your mind and you're like, now I need to actually get something to feed myself. If you will have this kind of mindset, it is going to help you. But if you are, really sad, watch some good movies. Movies work. That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Vandita. So all of you, please nominate yourself. I just see one name for the next session. So meanwhile, I think so I'll pick the first.
Hi, Shaman, are you there?
Hello, sorry about that. I have slightly unstable connection. Where was I? Yes, the first speaker, Sudeep from
Yes.
the audience. So your question is, I think so. We were discussing this question a while ago, but still I'll say that to you. I want to know your POV on this. When you come across your project manager who fired you, again in some different organization in future, what would be your reaction or what would be your thought process or however?
First of all, thank you for the question. And my reaction would be I would be banging my head on the wall. So the time was not enough that you harassed me and all the blood was sucked by you. So again, the time has come. This time I would be reacting him or her in a different manner. Whatever mistakes that I have done in my earlier job under him, was that the thumb rule would be that I won't be reacting it. Rather, I would be delivering all the results. And if the same trend of my boss continues, I would be following all the, I should say, the magic pills that have been provided by Vandita and apply it and get rid of that XYZ, my earlier, I should say, project manager. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for that insight. So the next one is Shomit. Can we have you on stage?
Yes. Hi again.
Hello. So the next question is, I'll just jump into it. How to network with colleagues from the organization you were fired from? You can talk about your insecurities, nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
question actually.
I was just asking the same question with, Vandita also. I still have friends, like very good friends from the organization which I was working, because that is also one of the bigger problem, they keep on asking you. I think, the best networking tip I can tell you is that when you're in an organization, it is the right time to make the better connections. Like you never know whether you're going to fired or whether you're going to go promoted to next higher position. But then I think it is the best time whenever in whatever the job role you are in or whatever the position you are in, it is better to make the good connection with your colleagues right then where you're working. So again, when you leave that job or when you fired or when you quit the job, I think that will definitely help. And I keep getting updates from my previous job, okay, this and all happening in this institution, it is better if you come back. So these are the statements I hear, and again, that also helps me to understand about the organization also. Okay, there are some friends, okay, these and all happening, so this is the stages of the projects they are handling, and this is the future. Okay, if I'm given a chance and to go and join again, I'll be having a better point of view about the project they are working and the role. It will be very clear. So I think, yeah, when you're in an organization, it is better to make the good networking. Thank you.
Just to add on to it, and a little bit of gossip also from the previous organization. That's what I've heard. Thank you, Shomit. We just take the last one. Big book reviewer for today, Subhashri. Any number that you want to pick? I think so. 1, 2 are gone. From 3 to 9 you have. Let's pick one number.
Wow. Okay. 5.
Which one?
5.
5. Okay. Okay, this is a funny one. How to deal with a cynical boss?
Oh my God, this is like it's like I am dealing with one right now. I mean, I can just go ranting about the person like totally right now. So I mean, how to deal with him? I think I will give you my experience since I work with a government organization. So I have a government officer. I have dealt in my past with some fabulous officers. So I do not want everyone to think that all government officers are the same. But this person, after having worked with some amazing ones, I know this is on YouTube, and I'm not going to name the person. But then, so I come across this person who thinks that he's the ideal person whom we think about. Like, he thinks he knows it all. He's just like even a little junior to me, but he wants to be addressed in a collective way. He thinks that everyone else is not putting in their effort. And I'll just give you instances. Like he talks about that if you don't give in your entire time, there is nothing called work-life balance. This is your age to work, and this is the time you should be putting in everything. If I don't deliver on time, then it's like, what were you doing? So how do I deal with it? Initially, I was like, okay, fine. I should be the better man, and I should deal with it rightly. But now that I've worked for a very long time, I don't because there is a very thin line between accepting and being respectful. But after a point, you have to not forget that you have your own self-respect as well. So that is something which is very important. You cannot outrightly be rude to someone, because at the end of the day, he is your boss. You cannot compare everything. So don't forget your own limitations also. And you have to answer back well. I am someone who cannot answer back. I agree more often than answering back. So I have decided that if he asks me to wait, and he says that, cynic in the sense that kya hi karna hai, I mean, what else, you don't have a family right now. So I'm like, no, I have to go. I have to go. And in fact, on this last week only, I just said, sir, it's time, I have to leave. So you have to not forget your self-respect, and not forget that after a point, you have to know your worth, and that's it, I can say. And like I said, I could just keep ranting on this topic.
Yeah, but I think so. There's a really interesting point here, Subhashi, which you say. And initially, even I used to, it's very difficult to say no, and but you have to. I mean, there's a very thin line, as you mentioned, and if you keep, saying yes to everything, people tend to take advantage of you. That's the hard truth. And I mean, not to mention that it's not that you're doing something wrong. I mean, saying no is also, I think so, that's more power to you, and saving more time and doing whatever, and that's like being stronger, basically. So
And
it's a very
just to
important learning.
add, I mean, if you are stronger, the person will mess with you less. I have seen that, because you cross a stage and you move ahead, and then you see there are others who have just started off and are saying yes to everything. Then you see that he's messing with those people more than he would mess with you. So the more stronger you are, it also helps. So just to add.
Yeah, don't be too easy target, basically.
Yeah.
Stand for yourself. Thank you Subhashi. I'll hand over the stage to the listener for today. Let's listen what the listener has to ask from all of us. Over to you.
Thank you, Shaman. So I'm not the listener. I am not the listener today. Basically, the timer was Shefali Arora, but due to some reason, she can't continue her role. She has shared the cards, so she's not here right now. But thank you so much, Shefali, for your role. And Shefali is a known name in our book club. She is very regular. And yeah, I'm thankful to her to take up the role. So she has shared the questions with me. So I'm going to ask those questions. Okay, so let's see who were listening carefully in today's session. So my first question is, what is the name of the author whose book was reviewed? So easy question.
Not Sudha Murthy. Definitely not Sudha Murthy.
Oh. Okay. It's Sudha Murthy. My second question is, what is the profession of Vandita's father? Any guesses except Vandita? Except Soumit this time. Let me give chance to someone else. Okay, Subhashri. Okay, Subhashri. Yeah.
An accountant, some like in accounts, account manager or something.
Okay, let me give you the points. Okay, full points. Okay, it's account manager.
Okay, great.
Okay, my third and the last question is, how many times did Vandita mention the word very when talking about motivation?
3 times.
Especially.
Thrice.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, Ritika stole the chance. Okay, congratulations, Ritika.
That was nice, Ritika.
Okay, so today we had three participants who participated in the audience participation round, and we are not having any polling because for us, we are considering all the three participants as the winners. So congratulations, all the three of you.
Sonika, you're on mute.
Yeah, apologies. So let me talk about the next keynote speaker. So we have some surprises for October. Yes, the next session is our 80th session, and we are having something different. Yes, not the regular keynote session, but a panel discussion. With whom? So the name is Sohail Mathur, and he's a best-selling author and co-author of the book Bakers Literary Agency. In the next session, we will be conversing with him and discussing all the aspects of publishing and marketing. So get ready to bust all the myths around publishing and know how to submit your book to the right publisher. It is going to be very interesting, and I'm eagerly waiting for the next week. Now let me thank all the role players today. Can we have a round of applause for all the role players today, because they really deserve it. Vandita, for Subhashri, for Shaman, and for Shefali. And yes, our PR manager
For you,
Ritika.
Sonika. And you too, Sonika.
Thank you. So nice of you. And let me tell you that Shaman and Subhashri has done these roles for the first time. And yes, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much for taking up the role and doing it so beautifully. And yes, how can I, what I can say about Vandita, she's always awesome. She has taken up this keynote session, taken up this role, kind of in the last week only, because I always book the keynote speakers a month before. But she take up the role, and thank you. We are very thankful to you, Vandita. And yes, there are a lot of takeaways that we can have from your session, definitely. So thank you very much. And now I would request all of you to please turn on your camera so that we can capture the memory of today's session with Vandita. And I request Vandita to please give us a signature pose so that we can capture the memory. Oh, it's an amazing. Just be happy and keep smiling. That's her messages, right? Yay, year to year smile.
Okay, done.
Thank you so much, Ritika. Really, I want to know that how you take the screenshot while doing it yourself like this.
I take it from the YouTube live.
Okay, amazing. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and see you next week. Have dinner. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.